Resurrecting your last name. Welcome back to Book 5, the channel that helps you live a more holistic life. This is your man Jay, and today we are going to speak about resurrecting your last name. Resurrecting your last name. That must mean that your last name is pretty much kaput, right? And in today's society, that weight of representing your last name is not what it used to be, because we live in a society where the family the nuclear family dynamic has deteriorated to deplorable levels. However, when you look at those times where last names actually meant something, right? I don't know. Some of you guys may be too young to remember that, but I know there are people who do remember that time where, it'd be like, okay, the Johnsons are known for this, and you would have lines like, "You're a Johnson. This is what we do," type of thing, right? So families were known as, known for something, like the last name Smith, for instance. That came from, literally, families were known to be smiths, like blacksmiths and things like that. When you take it way, way back into the 17th century and things like that, 18th century. But fast forward today, and last names mean little to nothing. People really are not identified by their last name, and I'm not saying, I'm not identified, but the attributes of what they bring, or what value that they bring to society, is not carried by their last name. And I'm not saying that it should be, but what I'm saying is that you have two names, right? That's that that make up your identity. You have your first and your last name. You usually use both of these names on everything that you do that's official, right? So a lot of times we want to represent our first names, and we want respect. We want people to pronounce our names right. We want people to remember our names, things like that. But when it comes to our last name, uh it's like people don't care anymore. Okay. As a matter of fact, when you watch sports, what name is on their jersey? It's their last name. Their last name is on their jersey. Okay. Many times, police officers, military personnel, their name tags will have, their last name. They'll have their first initial and then their last name. So it was a time, again, where those names meant something, and for a big population of us, our last name, it has become worthless, because it was worthless upon inheriting it, right? So now, what now that we know that what last names used to mean for the world, or for identifying a family, what does your last name mean now? When you look at the people in your immediate family, and or your immediate extended family, that carry the same last name as you, what would be, you know, the overall idea that somebody would get from your family's last name? When they hear your last name, what would be the overall, oh, that family is known for this, or that family is known for that. Oh, this family is great, that family is disgusting, whatever it is, right? Think about that. Think about where that family name is now. And your own personal, you, of course, you're going to deal with your own personal. What have you been doing now in this current day, to add value to that last name? So if you're a male, you'll be passing that last name on to an offspring, if you decide to have children. Okay, what is coming with that last name? What does it even mean for your child? If you're a female and you are going to bear children from someone, typically you'll have his last name, and so will your children. So is what is that representative of, right? Or better yet, if that man is interested in you as a woman, what does your current last name have that can stand out and say, yo, these are the values, these are the things that this last name brings? And like I said, man, with such a fractured family dynamic in this society, it's really it's not much. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, your last name is not bringing much in today's society for the majority of us, right? So resurrecting that last name, okay? So now we have to think, where do I want that to go? Where do I what do I want my last name to represent? And then we start to change that now, right? We start to break some of um those stereotypes. We start to break some of those statistics down. We start to break some of those barriers, and we carry it with our last name because our children are going to bear that last name. And the things that you taught them, God willing, that they hold on to that and they press forward in life and they use some of those morals and values that you taught them, and now your last name begins to improve, right? So like I said, the it's just today we have given up the idea that your last name is really important. Both of your names are really important. That's why you have two of them, right? If they weren't that important or useful, you would only have one name, or you wouldn't have a name at all. And it's some institutions out here who take away your name and give you a number to let you know exactly how insignificant you are to this society, right? So yeah, man, just working to resurrect our last names and make what that represents more meaningful, making it represent more than something as a identification tag to put on a piece of paper, to make it more inspiring, to have these things, and for generations to come, your last name will be around and remembered more than your first name, and in so many instances, right? Your last name, these first names, they kind of trendy, right? Whatever the trend is. When I was coming up, it was a lot of Muslim names where I was from, a lot of Muslims, because a lot of brothers and sisters was converting to Islam. So you had a lot of Muslim names. Then you had an era where it was a lot of made up names. Now you have an era where there are more political correct names for people to get jobs, that kind of thing. But the last names, they remain the same regardless of whatever the first name changed. So your last name has a real, a longer lasting impact. Okay, and yeah, we could take it back to those days where it was you had your first name and then your last name was like the son of this person. But even in that, that was still your last name. You was still carrying a secondary name to represent things, right? So yeah, we just gotta really think about what we representing out here, and how we're representing it, because it goes a long, long way. And that's all I have for you today on Book 5. Our topic today was brought to us by Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 1. Your name is valuable. So thanks for joining us. And I catch you next time on the book club.